Hello, I wanted to talk about raising children. I have some unpopular opinions about raising children, especially in this modern day, but also as a millennial. So, everyone knows that raising children requires a lot of sacrifice. I think as women, it is only right to say it where it is felt and not a lot of people are talking about it. The sacrifices you make as a woman, as a mother, is totally, totally different to the sacrifices you make as a father. Not to say that one is more than the other, but the impact is felt in one more than the other. See, I can totally say that sacrifices covers quite a myriad of things. A lot of the time, it's actually huge in terms of professional sacrifice. You can tell the amount of jobs you would have taken, the types of job you would have taken if you didn't have children as a woman compared to a man. That's aside from the social sacrifices you're going to make, not being able to catch up with friends, not being able to have friends. That's because you have children as a woman. Then there's the sacrifice, the mental sacrifice you have to make, the things you cannot afford to think about, how you spend your time. Those are sacrifices you make as a woman, as a mother. And those are sacrifices you're often not prepared for because nobody tells you how it's going to impact your life. You suddenly just sit down, you find yourself in this space once you've become a mother, that these are the things you can no longer do. And society doesn't talk about it. I have to give kudos and a lot of recognition to millennials who are mothers and they've decided to be open about how motherhood impacts them. Now, after these sacrifices, there's now something that we need to do in order to raise responsible individuals. I think as Africans or as immigrants, we need to be open-minded. Millennials have seen not one, not two, not three, but a lot of them as a generation are leading by examples. We saw our parents growing up, the struggles they made, the close-mindedness, and how they try as much as possible to live their dreams through their children. Now, millennials who were raised by another generation, if you were raised by liberal parents, you sort of grew up as a more responsible adult. I know I'm not just making that up, I have seen it. When my husband and I started having children, it was our understanding that we are going to do our best, just like our parents did. However, we have to take it a step further because it's our responsibility to raise our children better than we were raised, to do a better job of being parents than our parents did. But of course, that carries a bit of weight to it because when you think about it, as you've become parents, you're now seeing how it is to be a parent, what your parents went through. So now it's your turn to become a parent and you just have to do the same thing. Now it's your turn. You see what you can do about it. See what you can make of it. I have to say in raising children, it's first a responsibility. You raise children as individuals in society, responsible individuals to society. You're not raising children because they're going to remain children forever. You're raising children so that one day they too can grow into responsible adults. And that raising starts from a very tender age. From the age of 0 to 5, those are their formative years. Excuse me. And those are the times you sort of created the foundation for what they're supposed to be, how they are supposed to act. So I'll give examples. I've got a 4-year-old. Now it's time for him to He's been learning to bathe himself over the past couple of months. He's been learning that when he finishes his drink, he places it by the sink. He's been learning to take his plate away from the dining table when he finishes eating. He's been learning that when he wakes up in the morning, he makes the bed. He's been learning that when he takes his pajamas off, they have to be folded. His clothes have to be folded. I'm not saying it is done perfectly well. However, there is a bit of growth that has come with that, because the more practice you put in, the better you get, the better he's getting. Now, in passing on lessons, I've come to realize that there is a bit of growth that parents have to go through as well. Now, our forefathers, I can't go that far, but our parents, I think they did a little bit of, there was a bit of a comma I noticed, which I tried to share with my husband as we started having children and we were having parents, and that is communication. Our parents found it difficult to communicate. I'll give an example of that. When you find it hard to communicate, that is when you shout, or you try and what's that thing African parents do where they try and speak to you using their eyes because they're going to flog you? The first thing they do in other circumstances is to slap you first. They haven't told you what you've done wrong, but the beating has come first. That is a problem with communication. So in order for us to raise responsible individuals or adults, we have to be prepared to communicate. You have to be able to verbalize what you're asking for, what you're requesting that they do, that the child does for you. There's that emotional growth you have to make as well, in addition to your communication. You have to be able to understand your own emotions. African parents were not prepared to do that. Millennials are learning that by themselves, through therapy, through personal experiences. We are now learning that the more we are able to regulate our own emotional needs, we're able to be in tune with ourselves, then we can make better parents. We are better human beings to our children. We're understanding children a lot more. We are learning. Millennials are doing the job. And I think for generations coming behind us, they have to learn by example, by leading. They have to learn by being prepared to do the work themselves. Our first son went to university recently, and is sharing his house or his accommodation with 5 other young men. Now, so far, from what he has said, these young individuals they're respectful. My husband's been down there. They're all responsible individuals as well. And from his age to the ages of his co-tenants, I'm saying that they are mostly raised by millennials, which is a testament to the fact that millennials are doing the job. They are doing really well. These young children or young adults, they look after the flat by themselves. There is no cleaner because the estate agents did not provide that. There are no cleaners coming in. There are no gardeners. So it's these individuals who are having to look after the entire house. One of them has taken it upon himself to have Wi-Fi installed in the property because they all need it. So in exchange, obviously, there are discounts that will be applied and everybody else will chip in. But also, they look after the kitchen. Everybody cooks. I was surprised when he said to me that everyone cooks. I mean, those are young men. They're grown. These are young men in their 18s, 19s, and 20s. They all cook. They do the cooking by themselves. They go out to shop to eat, but they do the cooking. And it goes to show that when there's intentional parenting, it makes a world of difference. We raise responsible adults. We raise independent adults for society who can think for themselves, who are confident, they're emotionally regulated, and they're able to do their own chores without having to rely on other people. So this is great. Just my unpopular opinion on raising children. in this day and age or at this time.